Hi, welcome to Glow's Kindred Kitchen, and I'm Glow. Well, I'd like to thank you for joining me today. And today we're going to be making a tomato pie together. And maybe some of you have not heard of a tomato pie before, but they are delicious. And there's many different ways to make it. But I just thought I'd show you one of the ways that I make it. And it does take a few steps, but in the end, it is delicious. So let's go ahead and get started. What I did is I went ahead and I sliced these tomatoes, and they're about 1/4 of an inch thick, maybe 1/2 an inch. And what I do, and you don't have to do it, but I think that it gives the tomato pie more flavor, is I like to roast my tomatoes in the oven. And what that does, it gets rid of some of the moisture that's in it, but it also gives it more of an in-depth flavor. So I actually drizzle a little bit of olive oil on these. Not a lot.
The old drizzler.
Yep. It just helps them along as they're roasting. There. I think I missed that one. And then I sprinkle on a little salt, pepper. Aren't these pretty? All of these tomatoes were given to me too by different friends. It's a great time of year for harvesting tomatoes. As you can tell, I just lightly did it. And then I'm going to put on a little marjoram. Not a lot. And a little oregano. Okay, I'm going to be putting these into an oven at about 450 degrees for 10 to 15 minutes. It might take a little longer, but I'll be checking it. And in the meantime, we're going to be making a crust together. I'll be back in just a minute. Well, I just took our tomatoes out of the oven. They were in there for 15 minutes at 450 degrees. And the goal there was to get rid of a lot of that, the moisture out of them. And it looks like it's done its job, and these are going to be very flavorful. So I'm going to let these set here while we continue on with our recipe. We're going to be doing the crust next. Well, now it's time to make our crust. There are many ways to make a crust for a tomato pie. You can make a regular crust and par bake it, or some recipes don't even call for you to par bake it. But today I'm going to be making a saltine crust. And in that crust I'm going to be putting butter and also bacon fat. I think it pairs very well with the tomato, and it just is like a nice, pleasant surprise to everybody that has it. So let's go ahead and get started.
One question, Miss Glow.
Sure.
What is par baking?
Oh, it's when you don't completely bake it, but you're baking it enough that it's going to withhold its shape, and also it will make it a little bit crisper so that it does not absorb the tomato. So, and that was one of the reasons I went ahead and I baked or I should say broiled almost at a high heat, my tomatoes to get some of that juice out of there, the liquid. And it'll give it more in-depth flavor as well. So that's the reason why.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. So anyway, let's go ahead and we're going to put in 1½ sleeves of the saltine crackers. That's being stubborn. Oh, I got it carried away there. I don't need that many. Take out a couple more. There. That's good. So what we're going to do is we're going to pulse these for about 15 times. I found works. Looks like.
That's 15.
Oh yeah, that's good. Can you see inside there? So Not all of them are broken up real, a lot yet. See, like I have a couple of big pieces, but that's okay because now I'm going to be adding some of our butter and our bacon fat, and it calls for you to melt it. So I did that in the microwave, and I'm just going to pour that over. And it's 2/3 of a cup total, 1/3 of butter and 1/3 of the bacon fat. And then I'm going to be putting in some Karo syrup or light corn syrup. And it says 1/4 of a cup. And by measuring this out in this cup that I already had the butter and bacon fat in, this is going to come out real easily. See how much easier that is?
Yes.
And I'm not going to include any additional salt at all because the crackers have salt and the bacon fat has salt. And also the butter had a little salt, so you don't need any more. Off my hands. Let's put this back on. There we go. Let's do it again. See how that is. Oh yeah. See how that is?
Yes.
So,
good.
Yeah, it smells good too. You know the old saying, everything's better with bacon. So I'm going to move this over here. I'm going to remove the blade. Always be careful with those blades because these blades are sharp.
Super sharp.
Mm-hmm. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to pour this into the pie plate here. And this pie plate is 9 inches in diameter. There we go. What you do is you just press this down and up the sides. So I'll continue to press this down, and then I'll be back, and we're going to be putting this in the oven to par bake. Well, here's the crust all pressed down in that pie plate. You can really smell the bacon right now.
Looks good.
So I'm going to go ahead and put this in the oven for about 15 minutes at 350 degrees, and then we'll be back and we're going to go on to the next step. We need to saute some onion and garlic and also shred some cheese. Be back in a moment. Well, I've got the crust in the oven, and now we're going to saute the onion and the garlic, but we start off with just the onion. So let's go ahead and put the onion in. In the meantime, I have grated up some cheese. There's a combination of mozzarella, Parmesan, and cheddar. I had some left from the other night that I had just kept. I always grate my cheese though instead of buying it pre-grated if I can. So I'm going to go ahead and see. I need about 1 cup to 1.5 cups. We'll start off with this and we'll see how we go. So what you add to this is some mayonnaise. You need about 1/2 cup to 3/4 cup. We're going to start with 1/2. That looks about like it's 1/2. And then 1 egg. I'm just going to lightly beat that. And pour that in. There we go. And then also I'm going to do a couple of shakes of nutmeg in here. So that's about 2 to 3 shakes. And we're just going to blend this all together. So I'm going to continue blending. We're going to let these onions here saute. When they're almost done, we'll be adding 1 clove of garlic to it that I have smashed and kind of chopped up. And then we'll be on to the next step to put everything in the pie plate. Well, now it's time to go ahead and put our pie together. Got the crust par-baked and it smells wonderful. When you know it's ready when it's got a nutty type smell to it. And so I went ahead and I mixed up the topping, which is mayonnaise, and 1/2 cup of mayonnaise and about 1 cup of the different kinds of cheese. You can put whatever cheese you want in. Mine has mozzarella, sharp cheddar, and Parmesan. And then I went ahead and I cut up some fresh parsley and also about 1/2 of a green onion that I'm going to mix up in there. So, and here's my tomatoes. And I'm just going to go ahead and layer these around in the bottom. Oh, one just jumped right off, didn't it?
Yep.
But by cooking these tomatoes a little in advance, also it's not going to take as long to cook once we put it in the oven. Most tomato pies take a good 30 to 35 minutes. I'm thinking this one's going to take about maybe 20 to 25 minutes. And how I'll know that it's done is when the topping is lightly browned and melted. There we go. What we want to do is just make sure everything's covered here. Looks like I have just the right amount, doesn't it?
Yes, Miss Clow.
Whoop. There we go. So now I'm going to take, let me wipe off my hand here. I have my onions that I sauteed with the garlic, and I gotta tell you, it smells so good, you guys. And we're going to take that.
It does, there's so many smells going on in here.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to put this over the top. I'm just going to kind of spread that out over. And that was 1/2 of a, like a medium red onion and 1 clove of the garlic. And I just sauteed that in olive oil. There we go. And then all we're going to do is we're going to take this mixture, I'm going to stir it up now. And again, it was 1/2 cup of mayo, 1 egg beaten, and then the 3 cheeses, mozzarella, Parmesan, and Cheddar. Also, Swiss cheese is very good on this. And then the green onion and the parsley.
Man, better be eating some breath mints later tomorrow.
Yeah, this is really good. Isn't that beautiful?
Yes, looks nice.
So I'm going to put it in my oven, which is at 350 degrees, and I'll check it in 20 minutes and we'll see how we're doing. But it'll probably be 20 to 25 minutes. Let me just get this little bit here off. Don't want to be wasting.
Nope.
There we go. So I'll be back in about 20 to 25 minutes and we'll see what it looks like. Well, look at this, you guys. I just took it out of the oven. It smells so
Looks good.
good.
Smells good.
I'm really excited about
Have to
having
wait for
this.
it to cool off.
Yeah, it'll take about 10-15 minutes before we slice into this. So anyway, we'll be back and we'll sample it.
Can't wait.
Well, it's been about 15 minutes since we took this out of the oven, and look at this, you guys. It's sliced. This is the first slice out of it, and it's like perfect. I gotta tell you, roasting those tomatoes makes a big difference. I have had tomato pie before where it is kind of runny, and this gives it a lot more flavor too. Oh my gosh. I haven't had this in a bit. It is so good. Putting those herbs and that little bit of olive oil on those tomatoes when you roast them just accentuates the flavor. And then those sauteed onions and garlic along with the cheese. Oh, and that saltine crust. With just that little bit of bacon fat in the crust, just sends it over the edge. I gotta tell you, if you make that, and if you have more than a few people at dinner, you might want to make an extra one. People are gonna be real. You can make a whole meal out of that.
I want seconds and thirds.
It's delicious. So anyway, I want to thank you for your continued support. And if you've enjoyed this, please give me a comment, a like, thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do. Thank you for your time, and I really appreciate it. Talk to you later. Bye.